I looked and my card was in a different spot in the phone behind everything, so I ain't got to go back. The gas light is really on already? Already? I probably should turn around and get gas, huh? I know when I'm going to buy gas. Not yet. I'm going to see if I can't just go ahead and start it. Dang, that's good. That's pretty good, y'all. About to turn. This right here is kind of a sharp turn. With the trucker behind me, I like to always let them know a little ahead of time. I like to make sound effects when I'm driving, especially if I got Brittany riding by with me. Like, I like to run over reflectors. I like to run over the white line and yellow line. I put that spicy peppers on this pizza. That pepperoni tastes better with some peppers on it. My man Antiochus got mad because he conquered, the Greeks after Alexander, they were ruling over Israel. And they exempted them from taxes for their religious holidays. He gave them a lot of self-rule. He didn't tax them very much. Like they was friends with him. Like they really paint him like he's this evil dude that tricked them and betrayed them. But you gotta look at it from his perspective. He already rules over the area. He's letting them have their own religion. He's letting them have autonomy. He's not taxing them as much as everybody else. And how do they repay his generosity? When he invades Egypt, they cut his supply lines, commit treason, rebel against him. And then he's cut off from supply. The Romans show up. They draw a circle around him. And they say, we need your answer before you leave this circle if you're going to withdraw from Egypt or not. And if you're not, consider yourself at war with Rome. And they didn't let him go talk to his advisors or nothing. So he wound up having to withdraw. And he loses Egypt. And he's kind of mad at him. He's kind of mad at him in Israel because they've cut his supply lines. And so he forces them to eat pork. They revolt. He doesn't let them have their own religion anymore. He tries to force them into Greek religion. And that's kind of what leads to the Maccabean revolt. And it's kind of, he banned circumcision. He said that they were destroying the divine form. And he forced them to eat pork. He's like, admit it, it's good. You like this ham. And that's why they hate him so much. But really, you were slaves of Babylon. You were ruled over by Persia. The Greeks come in and reduce your taxes, let you manage and govern your own state. They let you have your own religion, and you pay them back with treachery. No wonder he was mad at him. Hey, Brayden. Hello. I'm almost home. Right now, I'm eating a Hunt's Brothers pizza while driving, while live streaming. Dang, I showed a picture of that pizza and it popped from one person watching to 12. Shit, there's one that didn't even open. But yeah, I'm almost home. Oh, bye. Have a good day. I'm almost home. I'm going to get some of that cold, sweet tea that Brittany always has ready for me. I'm going to cool down. It'll take about an hour or two to cool down. Then I'm going to go up there and water the trees and take care of the chickens. I'll show y'all this little dog I got. Some of y'all probably already seen him. Brittany's got this little teacup chihuahua. He's white. His eyes are almost on the side of his head like a rabbit. Like he's got no depth perception. Like he's not a predator animal anymore. They've done bred him into a prey animal. You can see around him, but not like you can put. There is a mini. What kind of cracker? Like a club cracker, mini club crackers. He broke one of them in half and carried it away like it was something heavy, wagging his tail, happy as could be. I'm glad that Brittany's happy about that dog. But low key, sometimes I'll be like, dang, like, I think you're starting to like the dog more than me. Brittany's probably like, I think you're starting to like your YouTube channel more than me. Anyway, we both got stuff to work on, I reckon. No, we're doing pretty good. Oh, it feels good to get out of this truck. Hey, y'all want a toilet? I got some broken ones for sale. They were given to me for free. Did I need them? No. But I said, yeah, I'll take them. I'll break them up with a sledgehammer, fill this up, and put dirt over it. Mama said, nope. You know, she bought this land. I got the land in Alamo where I'm moving to. But she's like, nah, you can put a broken toilet. I guess she imagined just you'd see a broken toilet. I was just saying it's already broke. It's porcelain. We could use it as rubble to fill in. But she was like, nah, I'll go do that over there. So I probably will. I thought about breaking it up and putting it in the pond dam. Also thought about breaking it up and putting it around like the lavender and olive trees. I don't know. It's got to be something you could do with a broken toilet. Nathan is the king said hi. Nathan, what's your domain like? Who are you the king of? Where are you king at? Because I might make a treaty with you. You know, like it just depends. I'm building me a little micronation. I recognize certain kings, right? Look at this. Look at that. Brittany made the blueberry muffin in a square pan. It's the weekend, so I need to increase the humidity of the chicken incubator. I gotta double the humidity from what it is now, and then add another third. Like the one I got is set up with 5 trays of water at the bottom, and for the first week you fill up the 1 tray. On the second week you keep 3 trays full. On the third week you keep all 5 trays full. All right, go back out of the truck. I ain't got everything. Let's see. I'm going to make chicken fried steaks and pray only to things scheduled for today. That sounds good. Chicken fried steak. Only 2 things scheduled for today because it's Friday. I got to go back to the truck because I left my pizza out there. And I left my wraps out there, my lighter out there. I did find my card. I didn't leave it at the shop. It was just hidden in a different my billfold. But the $20 that was in there is gone. But I'm not so sure that I might have give that to Brittany or I might have spent it in the store. I don't remember. Maybe when I dropped my billfold, the 20 fell out. But I don't really care. I do care, but I don't. Because I got paid like yesterday. I'll be all right with or without that 20. Like, I would rather have the 20, but if somebody found it and needed it more, that's cool, I guess. But that's not an invitation to come steal my shit. But I hate how, like, my Granny Browning said that she stole an orange when she was a kid. And her mama told her, you must have really wanted that orange, didn't you? And then didn't punish her for stealing because she really wanted it. What kind of shit is that? Because you really covet something enough and really want it enough, then it's okay to steal it? Fuck that. Ugh, excuse my language, but no, I guess I ain't really apologetic. Like, I'll say sorry for cussing and keep cussing, so I guess I shouldn't say sorry. I don't mean to be offensive. I used to not cuss at all. He said that. But you can't, you can. But if you're going to be a construction worker, you got to have a sense of humor and you got to cuss. I guess. You stole a guitar pick. Well, it's good you felt bad. I tell you, a guitar pick, they got to be cheap. I ain't bought none in a while. But when I was a boy, like 4 or 5, I got a pea hole out of the store. I think it was a purple hole, peas. I done went out of the truck. I still didn't get everything. Let me remember what I was saying. Oh, I was like 4 years old and put a pea pod in my pocket, and I didn't even know about the concept of stealing or anything. I was just thinking, I'm going to plant them seeds and grow me some pea plants, and then I can make food for my family. We can grow them. We won't have to buy them. And Mama found a pea pod. She's like, I bought peas. Why'd you put a pod in your pocket? And I told her about how I was going to grow them. And she was like, no, that's wrong. That's stealing. And we went back up to the store, and she made me apologize to them for stealing the peas. And that's a good experience to have early in life. Yeah, I really wanted them. I had an idea what to do with them, but you can't just take peas and put them in your pocket. They got to weigh them out. They didn't get weighed up. So I got the air conditioner going in here. I didn't wear my work shirt today because it was too hot. And we come in early, like an hour too early. Nobody would know. And it made a big difference. Today was a lot easier. A lot of times it's way hotter than this. I'm really grateful to the man who was, I might not be able to load this live stream. I don't know what was on the camera. This man that was working there, he had this powerful fan with him that is wired into a switched outlet. And he set that up to blow the carbon monoxide out the van I was working in, and that helped a lot. Plus, I had a tank top on. They give us these synthetic, the work shirts are synthetic, and that stuff's bad for you. It soaks up in your skin, lowers your testosterone. They won't get cotton. They got to have the damn polyester bullshit. And I just don't want it. I don't want to wear that. I'm probably going to wind up having my own work shirt made out of cotton so I don't have to wear it. Plus, I don't care what they're saying that I think it's hotter. Yesterday, the client's house didn't have any AC turned on. Yesterday, the client's house. Who is OETF Studio? Yesterday, the client's house didn't have any. Who? Is it you, Gabe? Who is that? Who is OETF Studio? Do I know you? How do you know about what? Are you talking about on the job you work at? The client's house didn't have an air conditioner turned on? A lot of times we work in a lot of newly built houses that don't have an air conditioner running. And then attics are hot. And there's never air conditioner in the attic. That's why we come in at 5 today, because it was going to be so hot. Yeah, me and my sub were melting. We talking about speaker sub or subcontractor? So I miss Brittany. Normally, I don't get off. Normally, by the time I get off work, she's off work or about to be off work. And it's going to be all the way to 6 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock. I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to be going up there. I'm going to be going up to the restaurant where she's working at and go talk to her. Because I'm going to take a couple hours and cool down and rest and maybe get some stuff done around here. But I don't know if I'm going to wait that long. You're here for the see. Yeah, well, I really want to do the conspiracy content. It's just I'm thinking I'm gonna have to get I need some backup channel because it's like I've got a lot of old people subscribers that really like to watch animal videos, and they don't like me cussing. They don't like me talking about the Jews, and so it's kind of like. And then I've got a lot of new subscribers, younger subscribers. That's why they subscribed when I started going live. So maybe I didn't think this out, and I should have had 2 different YouTube channels. But what happened is I got banned on all my social media. So used to I kept my YouTube channel free of politics so that I didn't alienate an audience, and I just basically planned to make it about permaculture and stuff. But then I got this job at All Pro and started making videos of it too. But I always did all my conspiracy talk on social media sites, but then they began to ban me on all of them. And so then I didn't have anywhere to vent anymore. So then I started talking about it here. Yeah, don't poo it. Yeah, but it's kind of too late. The thing is that they've got like an AI that goes through and listens to every word, and like they might not get around to it. If you don't have a lot of viewers, they might not really do anything, but they reserve the right to go back no matter how much time has passed and ban you for stuff from way before and everything else. And I don't like BitChute. I go on there to watch some videos on BitChute, and I'm not able on my phone to like watch the video. Like if I try to watch it in the middle or back it up, a lot of these videos, it'll rebuffer and reload up and start back from the beginning. So I got to watch like a 5-hour video in one shot. And if my phone can't load the whole thing up without losing service, it's just YouTube's easier to use. But all the free speech is gone. As soon as the Jews bought YouTube, they disabled the dislike button. They always do that. And then they used to be bad about censoring the comments, and then they slacked off about it a little bit. But if y'all remember YouTube before the Jews owned it, you could say anything in the comment section. You could dislike things. It was a nice place, and people said it was toxic, but it really isn't. I think being a bitch is toxic. Like it's got to where people are like, you're not allowed to say stuff because somebody might have a negative emotion about it. Well, they need to grow the hell up and learn how to manage their emotions. Like somebody could say the most opposite thing of what I believe, but it's not going to make me like so emotionally upset. I feel like I got to make this person lose their job and shit. It's crazy how people have gotten. Like, I need you to be my echo chamber. You must say what and I hate the shit about how like Grok now is like, oh, that's a baseless trope, as if something, just because someone said something happened over and over and over again means it's not true. I should drink coffee and get up and do stuff, man. I drink coffee every morning. Brittany makes me 2 big old cups of coffee, even though it's hot. And I think coffee's good. I think coffee helps you shit. I think it's good for that. I think caffeine hurts calcium absorption. That's not all that great. But a little bit, it's kind of iffy. It's like, if it's low dose, caffeine and nicotine can be good for you, but in higher doses, they're not good for you. In this weather, I gotta have my coffee. Hey, Jacob. That's my brother right there. I don't really have a problem with iced coffee. I just drink hot coffee because it helps me shit. And I like hot coffee. But if I get really, 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 like I got really, really hot out there one day, like I was going to pass out. It was super hot. I didn't have nothing to drink but coffee. And I put some ice in it, and it was pretty good. But the nastiest shit will taste good if you're hungry. And the nastiest drink will taste good if you're dehydrated enough. Then color me flamboyant. He said he don't give a fuck what you think about him. He gonna keep his iced coffee. Also, are you allowed to smoke on streaming? Am I gonna get my channel banned for that? I have not read the terms and conditions. What you doing, Jacob? Are you off work yet? He logs. We got the same mama. There's 7 of us. He's the second to youngest of the boys. A third the youngest of us. I'm the oldest. Yeah, I'm off today. Well, come up here. I'll pass this to you. You can smoke with me. He's probably got responsibilities, though, having like lots of kids. 7. You already have a tribe. Yep, that's my goal is to try to unite the clans, unite the families, all the cousins, all the Brownings, all the brothers, and all their friends into a micronation and just start over. Make our own food, our own power, and hope we don't get Waco'd. And build a castle because that's just cool to have. It's easy to get a lot of people wanting a castle, so you'll be able to get people to work together for that. You want the West Wing? I'm fine with that. I want geothermal power. That's what I want. And I want some milk goat. I want some cows, really. And they're like, that's a lot of work having cows. Well, everything's a lot of work. I'd rather do work with that than what I'm doing now. I say as I've never owned cows before and don't know what I'm talking about. I'm hanging on to dear life to my last sibling, finally getting them independence for the first time in their life. That's cool. It's good to be independent. I think a lot of people would come out of depression if they'd just be a little more self-reliant. And when you do your own work or just having a job gives people a certain level of dignity. Y'all see? But I needed to give them so much money before they took off with their business. Yeah. A lot of businesses don't make any money for at least a year. And that they're just recovering expenses. A lot of them go out of business within 3 years. But a lot of people that own businesses have owned a lot of businesses that have failed. Or just didn't give up. They just kept doing it. I know 2 different people that started their own business. And they started their own business to get kind of free, but now they say they're a slave of the business. It's been a long, hard road. I'm wearing out. Well, I wish you the best, and I hope you get to be able to rest and recover. You can't overdo it, or else you just burn out and work yourself to death. And you can't underdo it, or you atrophy and waste away. Either way, there's a balance. You got to don't stop moving, or else you won't be able to move no more. But don't move so much, you ruin your joints. I want to be able, let's see. Yeah, once they don't need any more money, we're almost there. I want to one day regreen deserts. I want to one day buy part of Arizona and Nevada and stuff like that and go out there and stick grids of straw in the ground to stop dust and erosion and plant prickly pears, and then in the shade of them prickly pears, plant certain grasses, certain plants that grow there. And I want to get this land making way more food than what it takes to feed my family and be able to feed the community. And I want to be able to just land everybody in my family. I want every single brother I got, sister, everybody to have a piece of land where they can put a family. And I am not really there. I got almost 7 acres of land, but I got, there's There's 7 of us siblings, and then there's nieces and nephews, and who knows how many there's going to be. But I would love to be able to get in a position in my life where I can make sure everybody's got land. Airbnb. So I see a lot of commercials for Airbnb, but I skip commercials and don't watch them. But I've heard Airbnb commercials over and over and over again. I worked for a farmer once whose grandfather bred mules for the U.S. Army. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty good contract to have, too, if you're in the mule business. My granddaddy used to wake up and he plowed the field with a mule. He went to school. They walked, but when it was too far away, when they changed schools, he went to school on a mule. And they had biological computers storing information on DNA when he died. But when he was a boy, he went to school and plowed the fields with a mule. He died. There's biological computers and AI. I think he was born in 33, August or the second something. My granddaddy Browning, my father, Jeffrey Browning's father, William Clayton Browning, and his father, Thomas Clayton Browning, they got, I think he was the first guy in the area to have a vehicle. Made the money from tobacco farming. And then his daddy, John Green Browning, come from Ireland to New York and then went down to Georgia. And a lot of people had family farms. Most of America was loggers and family farms. And then about World War II, or maybe even during World War I, people started really getting forced into the cities. And it was by design. It wasn't just, oh no, hard times come out of nowhere. It was by design. The school system was changed to get people to be, we were going to industrialize. But I got to say, the measures they took, although they were harsh, it wasn't like as harsh as what China and Russia did to industrialize. But another thing that we did to industrialize is child labor. We had so much labor. It wasn't like stay-at-home women with not a lot of work to do in the 50s during all of America's history. Like my granny was picking a lot of cotton. I'm talking about my great granny, my granddaddy's mama. She was out there picking cotton. They were making their clothes. They was working in the fields. They was doing all kind of stuff. And children worked. And people worked for the cheap, like a third world country in America. Loggers and family farmers and all kind of stuff. And these other countries, they have to go through that step too if they want. We didn't just get rich out of nowhere. We worked for it. Our ancestors passed down that progress to us, generation after generation. And then everybody feels entitled to it, but they're not entitled to it. You know, if you're not willing to go through what they went through to get there, they suffered under poverty because they had 12 children to get the population where it was. They worked hard and really super hard for very little. And they worked as children all the way up into adulthood, working really, really hard to get to America to a point to where people could have retirement plans and all this extra stuff. It doesn't just come from nowhere. And just like it takes a lot of work to get it, it can be lost. It's always easier to break things than to build things. And what's really sad is it takes a lot of people to build something great, but it only takes a few not so great people to completely destroy it. But it's true what they say about you got to be destroyed from within first. Let's say that you know for a fact, everyone knows for a fact his neighbor is not going to try to sleep with his wife. His neighbor is not going to steal anything from him. His neighbor is not going to kill him. His neighbor's not wasting time over there wishing he had what he had. He's on his own purpose. He's minding his own business. If you had a moral and just society like that, they're going to be so prosperous and so strong, no one's going to be able to conquer a people like that. It's when people slip into degeneracy, when they get complacent, that's how they lose what all their ancestors worked for. Oh, I work crazy hard every day, except Friday, it just depends. Fridays, a lot of times we do work late Fridays, but there's a good amount of Fridays where If we, like, a lot of days we'll stay late so that we can have Friday at a point to where we can leave by about 2 or 3 instead of 5 or 6 or 7. And then I still got to drive another hour home, and we normally got to drive about an hour or two by Delia from wherever we're working at. But this Friday, well, one of the doors got canceled because they were painting. They said they were ready and they weren't ready. It's on Eddie Lugo. And the other, but we had another job that required the same size door, so we was able to just put that door at the other place. And then at the other place, though, it didn't need a motor like it would have needed at the other place. So then there was less backhang to cut. Didn't have to do a motor. Didn't have to do sensor. Just a pull-up door. And we went ahead and worked on building all of it. We got all the panels up and the verts and radiuses up. We just didn't wind the springs. Thursday, we threw that on top of everything we was doing and worked a little later in the heat. And that allowed us Friday today to get off earlier. And that's why I have to pray today, avoiding degeneracy. Yeah. Yes. Just, when it comes time to look at the problems in society and to blame people, everybody's they're going to blame the leaders. They're going to blame all kind of rich and powerful people, say they should do this, they should do that. But people don't really blame the regular man enough. Because I'm a part of the problem. Like, in a lot of ways, I'm not the same problem that I used to be. But I'm telling you, like, back when I was younger in my 20s, and there was videos, like music videos of women acting in ways they should not be acting. And I like the video. That incentivizes the behavior. Or just, I'm not going to get into a lot of stuff. Mostly because I don't want to have a conversation with Brittany later about anything that I may have done or not done in the past. This whatever. But a lot of problems are just, the culture of the common man everywhere. There's a lot of people that are. But we've just got kind of complacent. I don't know if you're from the same place I'm from, but I'm in the United States of America, and we've become such a powerful country and such a wealthy country that we've grown complacent. And we've experimented with all types of evil because we felt safe enough that we could afford to experiment and try to, like, there's some traditions are just holding us back, but a lot of traditions are institutional. It's like it's a memory of what works. It's been able to survive as a tradition because it works. You can do that and reproduce and keep existing for thousands of years. And like, we're a polydimorphic species. Men are not the same as women. It's stupid to complain about double standards because it's like, would you have the same standard for apples and oranges? It doesn't make sense to have the same. You're dealing with two different natures with male and female. And I forgot where I was going with this. My mind trailed off. Something about complacent. I don't know what I was saying. I'm going to look in the car. You're from Kansas. Kansas is flat like South Georgia too, I hear. Y'all's flat land. I heard they were going to put some kind of biologic, like, they used to have off of Lyme, Connecticut. They had the bio-research facility, like a biological weapons factory. And I heard that, like, I remember watching the Senate or House of Representatives one, and there's someone from Kansas, and they was petitioning. They wanted to get it moved to their state to get money for their state. And I was thinking, don't y'all have tornadoes? Like, well, how about y'all don't put that there? How about y'all please get something else? I don't know about doing that. You were talking about traditions that work in society. Oh, yeah, and I was talking about how there's two different genders. The reason that there's the traditional gender roles is because it works. It's more efficient. It makes sense. If your culture is such that you have negative birth rates, you're not going to win against one that has positive birth rates. Only patriarchal societies have positive birth rates. And then men are stronger than women. So if you was to have a society where you get the women to go be firefighters, it's less efficient. It doesn't make sense, you know. So it's not that these people are being mean or oppressive or whatever. Uh, but see, now that America, back when America was like a third world country, before America was rich, America wasn't going to just try to say, hey, let's raise our kids to be transgender. They weren't going to experiment with some stuff like that. They needed a population to not be destroyed by the Indians or the French or the British or each other. They had too high of infant mortality to be worrying about abortions, you know? It, you only, when nations gets really powerful, they feel really safe, that's when they start experimenting with degeneracy. I remember when I was working in North Georgia in Cherokee County, there was this grandmother that she was sad about that she'd come to America to give her daughter a better life. But her daughter was like barely wearing any clothes, dancing to Katy Perry. And she wasn't from the Mexico City Mexicans are different than the country Mexicans. Just like urban people in America are different from country people. And so her husband was from Mexico City and Miguel was from Mexico City. And the Mexicans I noticed from Mexico City have a completely different culture than the Mexicans. She was from the desert in the area that El Chapo had control over. And they liked El Chapo because he built schools and hospitals and nursing homes and infrastructure, roads, bridges. Like, you know, if you're going to be doing something super illegal, like running a drug cartel, you better be doing something to get the people on your side. El Chapo used love and fear. Like if they were going to write, like if Machiavelli was writing today, he would write about El Chapo. The Mexicans would go dig him out of jail. The government would go put him in jail, and the Mexicans would work digging a tunnel to dig him out of jail, bribe, get him out of jail, so he could go back to selling drugs to America and building hospitals and schools. And he told the Mexican government that he would pay down all of Mexico's debt. He had the money. He would pay all of America's debt if they would just agree to just like basically just like sanction his cartel and just let him do whatever, you know. But they wouldn't agree to it. It's like they got a parallel government over there. It's kind of like what used to be in Sicily is starting to happen in Mexico. You know, in Sicily was an island that's native people got invaded by a lot of people. Carthage, Greeks, Rome, Vikings, like all Arabs. I don't know if the Turks ever went over there and got a piece of it. Maybe. I don't know. Just everybody was always coming and going. And so the people just got very anti-government. They were like, no matter what, we're not going to recognize, like you come in and say you conquered the place, but we're not going to recognize any government officials. And you basically had these families that were like warlords. And that was who they recognized as their government, the mafia. And the mafia would also, it's like somebody wants to go work with the cops, they go kill them. Like the people, they would also, you know, they weren't above being tyrannical themselves. But the thing was, our tyrants are Sicilian. Our tyrants aren't, you know, some foreign invader. And that was kind of their culture. And then in Mexico, you've got all these different cartels that are like individual parallel states in all these different places in Mexico. And they really, like, they have their own toll roads. They have their own hospital schools. Like, they build city. They kidnap engineers and stuff and from colleges and get them to work for them. Hello in Iran. I hope things are well with y'all. I really think that Iran should be able to have nuclear power plants and energy. And I also think they should be able to have nukes. And I'm an American, but this is why I think that Iran should be able to have nukes. Pakistan has nukes. India has nukes. China has nukes. Israel has nukes. And Russia has nukes. And look at where Iran is. So, like, come on. Cut them a break. Like, come on. It's like, you know, we sold guns to Indians. You know, like once somebody's got guns, everybody's going to want them. And for the balance of power, I don't think it would be less peace. I think the world would be a more peaceful place if Iran had nukes. I don't think that they would just go launching nukes out everywhere. But I lost 2 viewers there. But I'm telling you though, Pakistan has nukes and India has nukes, and every 10 years or so they talk about having a nuclear war with each other. And I just think that it's kind of like it puts a check. Like Iran and Iraq had a very bloody war where a lot of people died, and the borders are pretty much the same, and it's pretty much just horrible tragedy for no reason. It's just really crazy. But once Iran thought that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, and Iraq thought maybe Iran did from all the Israeli propaganda, they just didn't fight each other. And the same thing, India and Pakistan, they always talk shit that they're going to go destroy each other. But then when it comes time to do it, they always back out. Because nobody wants a nuclear war. And I know it is like a liability to have nukes laying around where somebody might use them or whatever. But only America has so far. And there's also a lot of propaganda about their power. They've tested over 2,000 nukes all over the world, mostly in desert areas. You can watch different time-lapse videos of every nuclear power plant meltdown that's ever happened, every nuke that's ever been dropped, every nuke that's ever been tested. And you can see that it hasn't burned up the atmosphere. You see that's a lot of what that global warming temperature shit is. They go test the air or water right after they've done a nuclear test and shit. Be playing with y'all's minds. But Iran hasn't attacked their neighbors, really. Like Iraq attacked them. Iran has pretty much got enough territory, all kind of different geographical regions, and enough problems with floods, not having enough water, and when you do, it's flooding. And they've got Iran is trying to develop their own land. They're not trying to take everybody else's. Israel's trying to attack all their neighbors. And it's just that people have been conditioned by the Schofield Bible commentary and the John Nelson Darby Bible commentary. They put this in all the American churches, and any preacher on TV has read these things. And there's propaganda in these commentaries to reinterpret the Bible to give Israel some sort of parallel dual covenant that doesn't exist, because the Israelites become the church. They converted, they followed the Messiah. The ones that didn't, that followed the Pharisees, were in error. And they converted a lot of Khazarians and a lot of Europeans. And it's not fair to call the Pharisees their students and Israel as if that's the real Israel. And a lot of people in America are confused, and they believe that there's some sort of Bible prophecy being fulfilled in 1948 with God gathering Israel back into the land. But Israel did not accept their Messiah. They did not accept Jesus Christ. They did not believe in God. They did not repent or change their ways. They did not follow the laws of Moses or any of the other covenants. They followed the traditions of their elders. They made loopholes to break every law of Moses. They become full of self-pride and self-worship. They looked at themselves as if they were better than everyone else. They were very full of pride. And they did not repent, and they did not get right with God. Instead, they become very wicked. And they, through fraudulent banking practices, they begin to buy up the media, and they begin to worm their way into bureaucracies. And through evil means, and through deceiving nations, and having a lot of Christian nations destroyed and fight each other and bleed out so many millions and millions and millions of people. With the Bolshevik Revolution, they killed and burned and raped so many Christians. And it's not taught because the Jews own the media. My phone died. Sorry about that. Sorry about there being no goodbye, but my phone died. It won't play it if it's based. See what happens when you talk too much? It just cut off. Well, they actually didn't censor me. It didn't cut off for that reason. And that's exactly what I would think if it happened. I know that I used to have to wait for my Facebook comments to look like they would load forever before they would post or not post. I mean, I got banned from Google before, so. But I'm going to be honest with y'all. This wasn't like some sort of censorship on YouTube's part. What happened was my phone died. And then it took a while for me to get it charged enough to get it to come on and to, get enough service to reconnect and all of that. and I've got 2% a battery. And okay, so my phone died, y'all. That wasn't censorship, and it took a while for me to get my phone back up. But I'm gonna back up a little bit, and I'm just gonna say they didn't repent. Most of the Zionists were atheists. They just, through fraudulent banking, they got rich and they forced their way into Palestine, where they began to systematically genocide the Palestinians. And it's obvious, if you can like recognize patterns and stuff, why they don't let them have the same license plates or drive on the same roads, or why they divide them into a grid into smaller and smaller sections and move them to worse parts of land. They don't let the ones in Gaza get married to the ones in the West Bank. If you're in different zones, you can't marry. Like, basically, if you want to be with some, like, a lot of times they wind up moving to be able to stay with their family or to marry someone, and everything is really arranged to get everybody in the West Bank into Gaza and everyone in Gaza out of Gaza. And it's been that way since the beginning. And they started by blowing up buildings as terrorists when the British were still in the area. And they've always used civilians as human shields. If you listen to anything the Israeli regime says about their enemies, it's like a confession. Like, the Israeli Defense Forces have literally strapped civilians to the fronts of their vehicles to use as human shields. And they just indiscriminately bomb. And I mean, during World War I and World War II, cities were carpet bombed and wars fought that way. But then now we've got more precision technology, and people have been changing how much they can stomach for war, basically. But most people, they think it's really people just resisting being pushed out of the land, and they call that terrorism. But think of what a terror it was for them. When you have the what's left of the British Empire and the Americans pumping so much money, and all the international banking pumping so much money into this war machine to send these people to destroy your homes and then not give you build permits, steal your cattle, and not allow you to have cattle. See, they won't even let them have cattle. So this is the thing, like, where they used to could have ate beef and then had leather so they could make their own clothes, they could make their own houses. Because you can waterproof with leather or block the wind. You can build tents with leather. You can build ropes with leather. You can do a lot with a cow. And they didn't want them to be able to sustain their population or get wealth. And then they will want to always say they never built anything. If they have the land, they don't do anything with it. Well, when they destroy your house and won't let you have a build permit, when they make you drive some way out of the way back and forth to work or do any kind of commerce, it's a slow genocide. That's what it is. And now there are Americans that they don't care. They would love for there to be a genocide of the Palestinians, because they basically worship Israel as if Israel is some kind of Christ. They really do. And the promise to Abraham, to a singular seed, that there would be, all the nations would be blessed by this singular descendant of Abraham, when they're talking about that, is fulfilled in Christ. And the nation of Israel becoming one again, all the tribes as one nation, was fulfilled with Jesus Christ being the king of Israel, that being the scepter and a crown that never passes away from Judah. So when Jesus returns and he gathers his followers back into Israel, that will be the fulfillment of the prophecy that they're claiming the 1948 one is. But that's a deception. That's a grand deception that deceives the whole world. It's Antichrist. It's an Antichrist political state building on one world government to try to chip everybody, treat everybody like cattle. And it's the Jews. It's the Zionist Jews. These are the people who are going to cut your head off to fulfill the prophecy. This is the evil one world government that a lot of people have fallen and have been deceived into believing that it's some sort of Christ, that they should worship Israel, that they've got to bless Israel to be blessed, or if they curse Israel, they'll be cursed. They don't know that the church is Israel. All of the original followers of Jesus Christ were Hebrews, and they converted the lost tribes, and they intermarried with other people. And through that is the continuation of the Israel of God. The Pharisees and their converts, this is a synagogue of Satan. And they really do satanic things. They really do. And it's not every one of them, but the ones that do it, I'm going to tell you, the Jews have the strongest in-group bias of any people in the world. And if they know a Jew is super wicked, they still don't want to hand him over to a non-Jewish court. They still want to protect him. They still stick together. They pay his way out. You know, there was Jewish pedophiles, and then a bunch of lawyers got together to protect their reputation when they didn't deserve a reputation. And that's where you get the Anti-Defamation League. And they normally spend their time just defamating. They go and slander people's character. And I just, oh man, the more you know, like, you know, of course I was raised and I read all those commentaries and I was raised to be a Christian Zionist, which that makes no sense. I understand where these people are coming from and why they believe what they believe, but you can easily make a case that, like what I'm saying. And I mean, they talk about establishing a world court and the Noahide laws, and they talk about wanting to kill Christians as adulterers. And this is the most ironic thing. The people that the Jews want to kill the most, those are the same people that want to give the Jews their money. Isn't it the wildest thing? And with American guns and American money, the Jews shot up a church and killed the bell ringer and said, oops, it's an accident. Like, they got GPS, they've got Mossad, they've got a lot of ways to know not to shoot the guy who rings the church bell. You know they're full of shit. They're lying. And nobody can get away with lying as much as them. And I know some. Personally, in my own life, I know some. And it's just like it's like by nature, they just lie. It's like they just have to lie. Why are you lying about this cat? Why are you lying about that you got these sauce packets for free? Why are you trying? I mean, for real. And if I know it's not you, but if one of these viewers is Karen, if it's you, go back to Israel. Like, quit lying. Quit lying and saying that Israel is better than America because you left living around Jews to come live with us white people and to have children with a black man. I'm telling you, like, Israel's not better than America. Just quit saying it. And if you're going to stand for Israel forever, go back there. Go back there, because you know what? What are you, a spy? Like, dang, like, we come over here raising the American flag. They need to get rid of dual citizenship. They need to get rid of dual citizenship. But you know, go back. But then actually, go back to Khazaria. Go back. But you know, they're just gonna stay here and complain about things and want free things and give everybody a hard time and whine. But I'm gonna quit all that too. I'm gonna quit it. I don't need to be doing it either. I'm not gonna start complaining about that. I'm gonna go get that dog and show you that dog. I'll be back in a second. I said I would. I almost forgot what I had told, what I had said. You see here? But see what I said about his eyes are like on the side of his head. Look how far apart his eyes are. That's what I'm talking about. Almost all the way to the side of his face. Like he's trying to turn into a prey animal instead of a predator. Look at that. What they've done bred the wolf into this teacup chihuahua. Brittany always wanted a teacup chihuahua and she finally got one. This I'm trying to flip the camera around, but it ain't showing me the option to flip the camera around. We're gonna run over there. He was eating a piece of pizza crust a while ago. He's like that long. He's like that long. About that tall. He's about a lighter and a half tall. It's just really bad. And it's not just that, the guy that died that rang the bell at the church, right? It's the fact that they call us as a people Amalek. So the thing is that the people that are okay with supporting Israel while they genocide the Palestinians, what they don't know is that the Jews also want to genocide them. They want to genocide the European people. And it's European Christians that they hate the most. Because to them, that's Amalek and that's the Christians. They hate the Christians as idolaters and want them dead. And they hate the Germanic people thinking they're Amalek. So, and that's who Protestant, white Protestant, Anglo-Germanic peoples, that's who gives them the most money. There's a Bible verse that says that, well, God said that his people, his people perished for a lack of knowledge. And it is really like, most people have never heard any other perspective about it. Every single church they go to, anybody that asks about it is going to tell them the same thing. God gathered Israel into the land as fulfillment of a Bible prophecy in 1948, and we need to support them. And they're not really going to think of, and I don't blame them I don't even blame them for it, because they still believe that some Muslims attacked them on 9/11. They still believe that, and I really hate the ignorance of a lot of Americans that do not know the difference between Indians and Arabs. And they actually they'll actually think that Indians are Arabs, or that Sikh or Hindu, and it gets on my nerves. It's like after 9/11 happened, there was all kind of increased racism toward Indians that, like Hindu Indian, they would be calling them Arabs. It's like, dang. But I believe the whole dancing Israelis theory about 9/11. I believe Mossad and CIA orchestrated that whole thing. And I even believe Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset connected to the Bush family. That he was like an actor on TV. To the Taliban, they wanted to go after all the countries that oppose fractional reserve banking. And in Islam, they also believe that fraudulent banking is illegal. Islam doesn't allow massive usury and fraudulent banking. So the Muslims are not going to be on board for the Rothschild Bank, even though most of them have Rothschild banks now. But all the nations that are like on the scary boogeyman bad guy nation list, every one of them are ones that don't have Rothschild banks. So, and if you believe the prophecy that it's going to get to a point to where no one can buy or sell without the mark of the beast, how are you going to build a system where nobody can buy or sell? Well, what are the Jews talking about at the World Economic Forum? And I know they get their front men, they get their non-Jews to work with them and whatever. But I'm just saying, who the IMF is really run by. So I'm saying, dang, I forgot what I was saying. Something about and my comments aren't showing up right now either, or my option to flip the screen around. But anyway, that's what it is. Cuba didn't have a Rothschild bank. I think they worked out a deal where they do now. North Korea didn't. Iran didn't. Syria used to not. Yemen. All them countries, all them countries that didn't want a dishonest money system where they can just theft, really. If you're just printing up money and devaluing the currency, you're stealing from everybody. And so, that's what they did. The Jews stole a bunch of money from all kind of nations to get their nation. They stole it through banking, and then they lead America into every single war, every single time. the American says these Muslims want to come in and they want to take away our freedom, and some of that is true. I mean, there's a lot of Muslims that want the Sharia law put on you, so there is a lot of that that's true. There's a lot of Muslims that just don't care, and they're not trying to conquer but there are some that do. But they put that fear on people. That's who you need to watch out for. Watch out for these Muslims. But really, the Jews are putting their banks in every single country in the world. They're getting control of every single currency in the world. And it's going to get to be the point to where if you buy or sell anything, they're going to know about it. They're going to have a digital record of it. They're already talking about wanting to go cashless. And they'll have their, pretend he's a Christian Donald Trump, pretend he's a Christian George Bush's. And they'll have their pretend he's a Muslim, Saddam Hussein. Well, I'm not saying Saddam was a puppet of the Jews, but I'm saying that right off the spot, I'm not remembering the names of a lot of these people. I think that Bashar Assad, remember they lied about him, gassing his own people. And then 10 years later, they say it again, and people forgot that they'd already tried to do that lie before. But he was against fractional reserve banking. That's why he got kicked out. So when you see that all of the nations of the world have the same bank, and it's a Jewish bank, all of the nations of the world are just one. The IMF can pull credit off of any currency to any currency. They can just do it at will. They cannot be held in court by any nation. They have diplomatic immunity from everyone. So they're really running the show. And they say it's a diverse group of a lot of people from a lot of countries. But a lot of those people are really just agents of Rothschild. So you'll have the Jewish bankers, they'll have a few non-Jews that work for them to try to pretend but they're the ones that are running it. And I'm not saying Hebrews, I'm saying Ashkenazi converts of the Pharisees that Jesus predicted would be twice the sons of Satan that they were. But people forget about those things. They don't think about those things. But yeah, pretty much America's sending all the money to them so that they can conquer the world and kill us. And everyone's scared of the Muslims or the Chinese or whatever. And it's really the Jews, which I know there's plenty of Muslims. They want to conquer us. There's Catholics. They want to conquer us. The Jesuits swear an oath that they want everybody to be up under the Pope. That's what keeps us free, really, is everybody's fighting for the whole world. So nobody ever takes it. I don't know that that's freedom, but I'm just saying. But one day the cycle will probably be broke. One day somebody will take the whole world. And I don't think that's a good thing. I like nationalism because I think that people know their people and know how to govern their people better. Like if you're in one spot on the earth, like let's say Washington, D.C. or Rome or Mecca or any one city, and you're trying to run the affairs of the whole world and all these cities and all these places in completely different climates, different cultures, you're not going to really be able to efficiently manage, run, or really know what kind of laws you should even be passing for those people. And nationalism, each nation having their own domain where they can, like people who live in the jungle know what jungle life's about. People who live in the desert know what desert life's about. People that live in the mountains and so forth and so on. And so I don't think it would be a good thing for there to be a central governing authority for the whole world. I have thought it before, like, would there be peace? Like, would it be? But even if there was a peace, I think it would lead to a type of atrophy. Now, I don't believe that there's aliens coming and invading, but some people have said that they wouldn't even want to come because they despise humans because of how we fight one another. But there's a science fiction novel that was wrote where the aliens are more advanced and they get here before we get there. They have better transportation, better technology, but when they have no strategy for war because they were peaceful and they didn't fight each other. And the humans, they fought each other. And so they won in war, and they got their space technology, and then the humans took over the galaxy or whatever in the novel. And it's kind of an interesting idea. But I do think that there's human nature. Part of human nature is to be a warrior and an overcomer. And that's the uncomfortable truth about people that once you've got your wealth and once you've got your safety, you stop where back in the day, people honored brave men. Nowadays, they'll say, okay, those are evil people. Those were evil monsters that were against peace and whatever. But you have improvement with competition. You have a type of refining that goes on, whereas humans have to compete one another. We become more refined. We become more intelligent. He who can organize the most labor wins. He who can hold as much, you get the most people to agree to the same mission, and everybody's doing it and everybody's going for it. I think it's part of what's driven humans to be what they are. And then you've got to have peace. You've got to have a break from it. You can't just go to war all the time or everybody would be dead. But if you have peace all the time, people destroy it. People get bored. They start complaining about non-problems. They get just as emotionally upset as someone with real problems, but over little stuff because they're not used to the slightest discomfort. It's really a bizarre disease that can happen to some people that have too much luxury. Where they really... And then there's some people that have no control of themselves, so they really try to control everyone else, which is impossible. Because they want to... You should really learn how to manage your own emotions and your own thoughts and steer your own thoughts and not be blown about in the wind by what everybody else is doing or saying. It's hard not to... Well, it's not really hard. Everything that's hard, though, it doesn't make it impossible. And all the great things are hard that are worth doing, that have the most payout. If you play a video game on hard and win, that win's going to feel better than if you played it on easy. And it's like that with a lot of things in life. But I think that if humans, like a lot of people, we believe that we want there to be peace and no more war and no more poverty. And but if you got together and nothing bad ever happened, how would a conversation even go? If no one had any trouble, no adversity, no problems to overcome, there's really a beauty in the world that there are problems. There's really a beauty that there is pain and not only pleasure, that there are obstacles and things to overcome, and that there are wars and battles to glory in, even though also to be ashamed of, or however. But you couldn't test and build your courage if you never had threat. And there's no greater threat than another human. There's no greater competition than to go to war with another human. So there's nothing that could there's no greater exercise. So it's, I don't know, should we completely demonize the warrior in us? Or is there room for it, place for it, and time for it? And I just think there is. Especially if a rattlesnake trying to bite my dog, or if there's a danger to someone I love. But I don't know. I think that masculine nations conquer and feminine nations just accept invaders. They're like, come take the country. And I think that when nations begin to atrophy, when it gets too safe and too wealthy, they begin to weak. They weaken and they become more feminine instead of masculine, and they get conquered. Their birth rates drop off, and that's just what happens. I don't want that world, really. I don't really want I don't really demonize all of my ancestors. There was a competition, and people were playing to win, and you have to, or else you lose. So, it's like, I wish everybody the best. But I don't believe in fighting a war if you don't gain anything by winning. And that's the real problem with war, is the human life that's lost. Because if you take a country's resources but the people are dead, you wind up weaker than before. Humans are the greatest resource. Humans are the greatest tool. Humans are the ones that are able to do it. That's really the wealth of a nation, is its people. It's really the people. And so when two nations go to war, they both lose, really, because they both lose lives. And so people they'll covet someone else's land. They'll say, oh, that's good land, I want it. But then in the process of taking it, they destroy their own culture. They destroy the land, they destroy the people, and they don't wind up winning. But if you could fight a war where you gain by winning, then it would be worth it. So you never fight a battle. Like a lot of times when you could get into an argument, don't. Because just take a second and be like, what do I gain if I win? Because it's not worth the energy to ever fight a battle if there's nothing to be gained by winning. You shouldn't even be fighting that battle. It's a loss because it's just tiring you out, wasting energy, getting you off your purpose. So you should choose your battles. I think so. You shouldn't completely reject the warrior that's part of your humanity, but you also should. You shouldn't just be wicked or evil. But you should choose your battles, and you should only fight if you're going to win something by fighting. But then there's sometimes where people are at war with you, whether you want to believe it or not, and people become delusional about it. They don't know that someone's even attacking them or at war with them, and it's not good to be complacent. You need to be aware. You need to be awake, and when it's time to be that, it's a bad thing if your culture. If you've been the propaganda's got to you where you're not proud of your own culture, you don't believe your people have a right to exist, you feel ashamed of everything they've done in the past, you have no vigor or will to life, you don't even believe that being courageous is virtuous, you're so much of a pacifist that you won't even fight for your own survival. Well, that's a sorry mess to be in. That's a sorry state of mind to be in. And I just don't demonize winning. I mean, I don't think that you should just go out and be evil, but like, they're trying to enslave us. And I think it's just kind of, we're not that type of people, and they're kind of right what they wrote about before World War One, where they were saying this is a warrior race that we've got to destroy to rule over the world. That's because we're kind of like, we might be enslaved for a little bit, but we just can't handle it. We're just like, give us liberty or give us death. And some people are like, don't hurt me and I'll be your slave forever. But we're not really that way. We're not really that breed of, we're not really that type of human. We're the type of human that just can't do it. We'd rather have death than slavery. And we won't tolerate it long. And so something's got to give because they want to enslave us. We don't want to be enslaved. They want to genocide us. We don't want to be genocided. But a lot of us are asleep. But we are that sleeping giant. And we need to wake up. And we need to realize the course that we're on. We need to look at the demographics. We need to look at the numbers. And we need to realize what course we're on. And we need to correct it. Because if we don't correct it, we could get to a point to where there's no coming back from it. And I really do believe that if they ever do conquer us, if they ever do wipe us out like they want to, and they remove who they say is Amalek, I think the rest of the world will just fall like dominoes right after it. I think it's up to us to do something. Our ancestors did. They were about to make a one world government with the League of Nations after World War One, but there was so much people in the church, there was so many people that opposed the movement and wanted to pull the money out of it. And it began to resurface with the UN later on. But it can be stopped. Like I said before, it's virtuous moral people cannot just be conquered like that. So it'll happen if we allow it to happen. And we're allowing it to happen. We're asleep on pleasures. We're asleep on entertainment. We're distracted by entertainment. And there's just like what they're planning and carrying out in Palestine. They intend to do that to all of our people. We were 30% of the world. We're 7% of the world. And most of y'all are parroting that you're overpopulated. And they want you dead. And they want your kids transgender, gay, or dead, or aborted. Wake up. But also remember who you are. You have forgotten who you are. Remember who you really are.